Hello everyone. I'm going to be doing a series of sessions on building a producer and consumer scenario with RabbitMQ. The link to the tutorial is here, and I'll also post this in the YouTube channel. So before we delve into creating a producer and consumer scenario with RabbitMQ, in this session I'd like to focus on talking about RabbitMQ itself. How do microservices communicate with each other? So microservice applications, it's a distributed system, and each service need to interact with each other. And typically they do the communication using protocols such as HTTP for synchronous communication or AMQP for asynchronous communication. Another consideration is also the single receiver and multiple receivers. The receiver is the one who is consuming the message. In a single receiver, each request is processed by exactly one receiver, whereas in multiple receivers, the request can be processed by multiple receivers. Now, the thing to notice, multiple receivers, that needs to be a asynchronous communication. And also, when services interact with each other, the AMQP protocol is used for asynchronous communication. So ideally, when you are building microservices, you want to keep the interaction between services to a minimum, and having asynchronous communication kind of increases the scalability of the application itself. So AMQP is an asynchronous protocol supported by many operating systems and cloud environments. And RabbitMQ is a messaging broker which implements multiple protocols, and it also implements the AMQP protocol. And as we know, the AMQP protocol is an asynchronous protocol. And using this asynchronous protocol, you can decouple application, and you can also improve the scalability of the application. So now applications can send and receive messages in a standardized manner. So messages have a safe place to live until it is consumed by the consumer. And RabbitMQ also happens to be the most popular open source message broker. So before we start, let's talk about some common terminologies. So we need to know what a message is. A message is a package of information consisting usually of a header and a body. The header is usually a key value pair. The producer, like the name suggests, it is able to create and send messages. The consumer or the receiver, they receive and read the message. And then the queue is the communication channel in which through which the message reaches the consumer. And the exchange kind of abstracts the queue from the producer. This diagram kind of illustrates how all of these things work together. So you have the producer who produces messages, and then you have the consumer that actually consumes the message. Now you have the queue that sits in between that allows the message to go from the producer to the consumer. And there is also another entity called the exchange. Now the producer itself, he produces the message, but doesn't directly interact with the queue. The producer sends the message to the exchange first. Now it is up to the exchange to send the message to the queue, and then the consumer uh, consumes the message from the queue. So that's how the message is sent from the producer to the consumer. Now there are instances where you have multiple queues as well. So again, it's the same process. The producer creates the message and he sends it to the exchange. And then the exchange decides where to send the message to. And based on some rules, it can send it to into Q1. and the producer can send another message, and based on certain other rules, the exchange can decide that this message needs to be routed to Q2, and then the consumer consumes it, and then based on different rules, the exchange can route the message to Q3, which is consumed by the consumer as well. So as we saw in the previous slide, it's the producer never interacts with the queue. The producer always sends the message to the exchange. So it's the exchange that must know exactly what to do with the message that it receives from the producer. So the exchange should know which queue I should send the message to, and it should also know whether I should send the message to multiple queues or should the message be discarded. Now, the rules define the type of exchange, and there are four different types of exchanges, and we'll talk about each of them in the next few slides. So let's start with the fanout, the last one. So the fanout is the simplest of all the exchanges. So the exchange, all the messages it receives, it sends it to all the queues it knows about. So you have the producer, and in our case, we have three queues, and then we have the exchange that sits in the middle. The producer produces the message, and he sends it to the exchange. Now, in this fanout exchange, the exchange simply broadcasts the message to all of the queues. So it simply broadcasts the message to all of the queues, and this is the simplest exchange type. Before we talk about the other ones, the direct exchange type, there are some other terminologies that we need to be aware of. One main thing is binding. Now, binding defines the relationship between exchange and the queue. And then you have a key that binds the exchange and the queue as well. So you have the exchange and the queue. And then here we have a binding key. There is the binding between the exchange and the queue. And we have a key that says red that binds the exchange and the queue. Now, you could also have multiple bindings between the exchange and the queue. So between the same queue actually. So you could have two bindings here. And you see there is a binding with the key red and there is a binding with the key blue, and this exchange binds to the same queue with two different keys. Now you could also have the exchange bind to another queue with the same key as well. So here we see there are two keys red. One key red is binding to Q1 and the other key red binding to Q2. So this is fine as well. Okay, so now that we know this, I'll talk about direct exchange. In direct exchange, you have the producer, you have multiple queues, and you have the exchange. And the exchange has a binding with the queue. And there are these keys, the binding keys that bind the exchange to the queue. Now the producer produces a message, and along with the message, there is the routing key as part of the header. And with the direct exchange, the routing key must exactly match the binding key. So the producer sends the message to exchange, and here we see that the routing key is blue, and then we see here that the binding key is blue for Q2. So the message is sent to Q2 because the routing key matches exactly the binding key. So the exchange is smart enough to send the message to Q2. Now there is a specialized type of direct exchange called Nameless, which also happens to be the default direct exchange. In this case, you have the producer, and we have three queues, red, blue, and green. And these are the names of the queues. The red is the name of the queue, blue is the name of the queue, green is the name of the queue. You have the exchange sitting in between, and you have the binding. You have the message with the routing key as green. And here the producer sends the message to the exchange. And here the exchange sends it to the queue name, which is green. So the producer indirectly sends it to the queue green by using the routing key as green. So because the name matches, the name of the queue matches the routing key, this is how it is routed. Now the header exchange is something of a direct exchange on steroids. So you have the producer, you have 3 queues or multiple queues, and you have the exchange sitting in between, and you have the binding between the exchange and the queues, and you have these binding keys that are specified as well. And then here the producer has a message with multiple headers. It has department equals sales, region equals North America, NA. Now the message goes to the queue whose binding key matches the header. So instead of the routing key, now it needs to match the header. Now here we have two headers, department equals sales and region equals North America. So there is a special argument called x-match hyphen match, and x-match can have two values, all or any. So all is the default value. So the binding key must match all of the headers for this to get the key, for the message to be routed to that queue. So here the region equals EMEA, and therefore it doesn't match it doesn't match any of the headers. Here the department equals sales, region equals North America, so it matches both of them, so it will go into Q2. And the Q3, it doesn't send it to Q3, Exchange doesn't send it to Q3 because by default all of the headers need to be matched. And here it's only department equals sales, region equals APJ, and the region equals APJ doesn't match the message. Now continuing with the header exchange, so you have the exchange, you have the binding between the exchange and the queues, and you have the message, but in this case we have the special argument x-match, and the value specified is any. So like I mentioned before, it can have two values, all or any. All is the default, and in this case we specifically match any. We specifically specify the value as any. So the producer sends the message to the exchange, and the exchange this time around sends the message to both Q2 and Q3 because department equals sales matches one of the headers. And the last exchange type is the topic, and this is very popular as well. So here you have the messages are routed to queues based on wildcard matches between the routing key and something called the routing pattern. So let's look at it. So you have the binding, and here is something called the routing pattern. So the routing pattern always has to have like a period, and then the pound symbol says 0 or more characters after na.sales. Same thing, eu.sales.pound, na.pound. So the producer produces this message, and the routing key here is na.sales.2019. So the producer sends it to the exchange, And because this is a topic exchange, so it looks at the routing patterns. So here the routing patterns match because na.sales, and then it looks for 0 or more characters, so that matches. So it sends it to Q1. Q2 doesn't match because it starts with EU, and Q3 also matches because it's looking for na.pound. So everything that is na.pound should go to Q3 as well. So the exchange is smart enough to send it to Q1 and also to Q3. Okay, so that's a quick rundown of the RabbitMQ. And in the next session, I will talk about installing RabbitMQ and web management tool as well. Okay, thank you. I hope you like this video. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.